So anyhow, this is what I think we're going to be able to do. We're going to be able to try to get this corridor and look at those things that happen. You know, the old Rocky Mount 10 was a thing that people associate Rocky Mount. Well, they weren't even from Rocky Mount. But because of the corridor that we're in, because of how traffic flows, we sometimes get a lot of information, a lot of people that are transiting through our area. And you know, and again, back to this idea of rule of law. Rule of law, people are involved. There's this caller just now, she's from Wilson. There's an interest. Sometimes people are going to be if you could imagine, I will bet that there was somebody, when you put a date and a time, sometimes of what happened, and oh, by the way, you showed a picture of a house. Somebody coincidentally could have actually been passing by and saw something that was in their mind totally unrelated.
Right.
And then what happened is, when that date was triggered, they remembered something. And it may be saying, well, I saw at that date I was, I remember coming back from, and people's minds said, I was coming back from the grocery store and I saw a flash in the house and I just thought power went out. And they may have seen a flash of a gun or something else.
Right.
And then it helps build a story that the investigative team or the DA puts the pictures together and they say, okay, that gives us something else. It also ties to somebody else. And it helps.
You're right. And that's what I do. Is I have no misconception about who solves these cases.
Sure.
You know, I mean, the detectives are working these cases and have worked these cases over and over. What I want to do with this show is, like you said, is get the public a chance to get involved and participate. And that's, I love what you said in the press release, that, what's missing here is public participation. So we're giving them an avenue to be able to do that.
We run our streets. We run our neighborhoods. The community does it. Our voices. If people believe that whatever they do in the dark will come to light, more people will be kept honest. There's a few people who are absolutely evil, just absolutely evil, and do not care. Last week, I was doing an interview with a gentleman named Big U, and that name means nothing to anybody else. But if I said Crips, people know what that is. Big U is the leader of the Crips, just finished 13 years life sentence. And one of the things he said in the Crips, one of the things that they talked about they didn't do, they knew you don't touch a policeman. Now that was interesting to me, because even in that kind of an environment, there's a code. And so when somebody does something that says this guy, whoever it was operating outside, when you see something like that occur, mafia guys they try to stay away from that. If they'll buy them all first.
It's bad for business.
It's bad for a lot of reasons. That's exactly right. So even in that environment, there's some kind of a respect for something. And in most communities, people look out their doors and they kind of watch a call. My neighbors will get on the phone and call. And I think in most neighborhoods, people will call. People will pick up the phone or check. What changes is when there's an intimidation factor. And what this affords us to be able to do, is for someone that saw something to retain their anonymity. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not naive enough to know that if there's really somebody that's sinister and evil doing something, the people that saw it, they believe that the bad guys know what they saw. And so we give them a chance to be anonymous, to call in, to say, I saw this, and then let the legal authorities figure out how to protect them. And then at the same time, we can reward some of that with minimal dollars. And I'll be very candid. whatever money we give to somebody, even though it may be a large amount, it really does not replace the value of them stepping forward, because when one person steps forward, it emboldens someone else to say, I got to step forward.
Yes, sir. I was involved in a similar program like this in Jacksonville many years ago. And for I'd say about 3 years running, that there wasn't a single homicide solved in that town that didn't involve a tip of this nature.
Yeah.
So you're right, once it starts, and once that person gets that money, and they start telling their cousins, hey, I got paid, it does have an effect where people, not everybody's altruistic as other people. Some people just want the money, but as long as the information's good, that's fine. But there are people who will come forward. You're right, the anonymity part of it is what'll bring them forward.
Yeah.
And anything that I can do that'll do that. And you mentioned about case selection. And me and Sandra, we tried to get this show off the ground several times, and then we had snowstorms, and then we had the COVID, and we had, just a lot of problems over the last year or so. So we started, sometimes you just have to start something, or, so we started without the board, just doing the show. And so the first 5 or so cases that we picked, we just picked them. But now that you're here to be in charge and everything, we're going to do what you say, and we're going to work with law enforcement to highlight those cases that they think something can get done with it.
Because
we're here to help.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the real goal is to be able to bring some closure. Now, and I don't want to confuse anybody or make anybody believe that, no kidding, there'll be an announcement that's going to come up on the screen, and we're going to say this is a case, and then next week we're going to be proudly tapping chests and say it's resolved. Very candidly, that we may go literally a year and have nothing answered, but we'll create the buzz that will get to somebody. First of all, the loved ones that are surviving will know that the case is cold but not closed.
Yes, sir.
That's our support to law enforcement. The second thing that's going to happen is, in the communities, all of you all are going to know that, one, you matter. You matter. Your voice matters. It is critical that you step up, make the phone calls, and let somebody else try to solve that case for you. We really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do something for the community. And that's really the goal. That's what brings us here. Code is not closed. You matter. And rule of law is really what has to be the requirement here in Rocky Mountain.